This is part two on how my sister was unalived with the man that she met 3 weeks ago. To start off from the last video, so at exactly 5 o'clock in the morning, there was a knock on my mom's door. So she thought that she heard something and she wasn't sure. So then there was a knock again. So she gets up and she goes to the door and she says, "Who is it?" And when she says, "Who is it?" the two detectives were standing there and they stated who they were. So she opens the door. So when she opens the door, she's still kind of like frazzled. Like she's kind of almost feeling like she's in a dream because she opens the door and two detectives are standing at the door. So she's like, "Can I help you?" And they say, "Hi, ma'am. We're wondering if you know a woman by the name," and says my sister's name, Aisha Holden. And it's not funny, but my mom says, because if you had to know my sister to know how she was, like she was funny. She always cracked jokes. Like you just couldn't really take her serious. So the first thing my mom says is, "Well, what did she do?" So they said, "Can we come in?" So she lets them in. So I guess they're like asking her all these different questions, like when's the last time she talked to her, and she's basically saying like, "Well, I've been calling her and calling her. The phone did ring, but now it's going to voicemail." And then she basically breaks down the situation that she met this guy and that he came to pick her up and he was supposed to be taking her to the movies, and she went off with this guy and she hasn't heard from her since. She said she started calling her like around 11:45 midnight that night, and the phone, it rang for a little bit, and then she started calling it again, and it started going to voicemail. So, long story short, they ask her at this point. She tells them like, "That's my daughter, like what's going on, because what is all this about?" Like she's starting to get frustrated because you know how it is when the detectives come, they ask all these questions before they basically tell you what's going on. So at some point within the conversation, they ask her to sit down. And so she goes to sit down. And when she goes to sit down, they proceed to tell her that my sister was unalived. At this point, when they tell her that, she still does not believe them. Like she does not believe that they just told her that her daughter's unalive. So she's like, "You need to call my daughter." But at this point, she's saying, "Call me." She's like, "You need to call my daughter. You need to call my daughter. Like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, what are you talking about? Is this a joke?" She was alone. And at the same time, she had my sister's son with her who was sleeping. And at the time, he was only 3 years old. So at this point, she starts calling my phone, but it's 5:30, almost 6 o'clock in the morning, and I had to be up for work at 7 o'clock in the morning. So, I didn't hear the phone. I had the phone on vibrate. So she calls my aunt, and we're extremely close. So at some point, my aunt starts calling me, and my cell phone, I remember it like it was yesterday. My cell phone starts ringing on the nightstand, and it actually felt like I was in a dream. The phone was ringing, 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 and it rang so much that it fell off the nightstand onto the floor. And so when I picked up the phone, because it was ringing, it was my aunt, and I literally like went off. I'm just like, "Why do you keep calling me? Like, I gotta get up, I gotta go to work, yada yada yada, whatever, whatever." So she's like, "Get up, get up." She's like, "I'm on my way to get you. I'm on my way to get you. Something happened to Isha. Something happened to Isha." And I'm just like, "What?" Now, key part to this. I know this sounds absolutely insane, but 2 years prior to my sister's unaliving, I had a dream that she was unalived in a ditch. And I remember I called her on the phone and she didn't answer for hours. And when she finally answered the phone, I literally cursed her out. Like, "Why didn't you answer the effing phone? Like, I've been calling you. I had this dream. I was worried, yada, yada." So it's crazy that exactly 2 years to the date of that dream, my sister was unalived. So I get myself, like, I jump up, I'm like frazzled. I'm like trying to get myself together, everything like that, throwing some clothes on. So I call into my job and I let them know that I'm not coming in because something happened to one of my siblings. That was all I said. So in the meantime, by then my aunt gets to my house and it's about a 45-minute ride to where my mom lives in the next city over. So we're riding up there. Now, mind you, as we're riding up there, in my mind, I'm thinking, not that this is a joke, but I'm thinking like there's no way that Like, this is true. Like, I know we're going to get there. She's going to be okay. Or, she just didn't come home. Like, there is no way. So while we're riding up there, I get online and I look up the news in my mom's city. And it says male and female found deceased in an apartment building. So, and it's crazy because look at my hands. I'm like shaking, reliving the story. But even then in my mind, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way that is her. Follow me for part 3.